Easter was just this past weekend. How did it go at our local churches, and how should we view the things surrounding Easter in the church? Welcome to the To Be the Church podcast, where we explore what it looks like to truly be the church in today's culture. Andrew's gone today. It's Tyler and Ben. What's up? Cody and Jordan are behind the cameras today. It's that time of year, Ben. NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question. If the Lakers don't go much further, because I'm a big LeBron fan, as we figured out a couple weeks ago, if the Lakers get out in the first round, can I be a Kings fan for the rest of the playoffs?
Of course.
There's
There's plenty of room on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally have not been in the playoffs since 2006, my senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Their coach was just named Coach of the Year this morning by the other coaches.
And you're like a legit Kings fan. Like, you have a decal on your car and everything.
Oh, yeah. Grew up in Sacramento. And when I was a kid, that's when they were really good with like Chris Webber and Jason Williams, Mike Bibby. But then since then, they haven't been good. So
yeah. Well, congrats. It's
awesome.
awesome.
They're playing the Warriors, though, in the first round, so that could be tough.
Yeah. I think if there was a team that I should be a fan of, it should be the Kings. Yeah. Because, they moved from Kansas City to Sacramento. They
were the Royals.
Yep. And then they were the Kansas City Kings as well.
Yep.
And then anyway, we'll maybe do weekly updates on the old NBA playoffs picture. Maybe not though, because we do have people tell us like, hey, the minute you guys start talking about sports, I just turn it off for the week.
Yeah.
It's like, so sorry.
If you're they're not even here anymore right now.
Gone already. But it's also that time of year, and the fact that Easter just happened. Thought it'd be fun to do a little follow-up of what Easter looked like and Good Friday and stuff at Camas Washougal, East Vancouver. And then, maybe just start the conversation there and see what happens.
Yeah.
How was Easter weekend?
It was great. I don't know if it's recency bias, but it feels like the best Easter we've had so far in these 4 years at CW. I think just because not only the involvement and stuff, but just things went really well, and I think we're really gospel-centered and encouraging to people and helpful. And one reason I think it was a success is because it really felt like a team effort. Like, it wasn't just me. I preached and I did some other things, but with music and with kids and with all the things that were happening, so many different people involved, and I don't know, it just felt like it felt like a win. It felt like our church came together and celebrated the resurrection, and we're reaching out to our community, and people are using their gifts. And so, yeah, I was encouraged. Every Easter is good, but it just seemed to be a really good Sunday that I think glorified God and was really good for his people. So
nice. And you guys ended up baptizing a ton of new people.
Well, yeah. Can't believe I forgot that. That was another huge part of why it was a win. 11 people, which we've never done more than maybe 4 or 5 on a baptism Sunday. So that was awesome. 4 siblings got baptized, and their dad was there to baptize them, and that was really cool. 3 brothers who are young adults who have been recently coming to the church and all got baptized. So yeah, baptism Sundays are my favorite, and on Easter it's awesome. We did a Good Friday gathering, which was really well attended. We've actually had some pretty poor attendance on our Good Friday gatherings over the last couple of years. So I was really encouraged. We had almost 100 people there, and that was really cool. And Saturday morning we did our egg hunt for kids, and had over 100 people, 120, 125 people. And over half of those people were probably not people that go to our church, and not just, I think, from other churches, but people that were invited, people from the community. And then Easter Sunday, we just did one, which was, I was kind of nervous, like, is it going to be too much? But we just really hit capacity, and it was really full and lots of energy. And yeah, so lots of people there that I know were not believers here in the gospel. So it was great. But I'll admit, this week I've been tired. It's been hard to get going. I'm preaching again this Sunday, and Monday I was like, oh man, this would have been a good week to take off. I think Andrew was smart in doing that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted the conversation to go there eventually, but since you're there, let's do it.
Yeah.
Even a great day, what does Sunday night feel like after Easter, or Monday, Tuesday?
Yeah.
You know, and again, a day that was a great win, not like, oh, like I think Sunday night and Monday morning on a Sunday can feel different if you feel like it went horribly,
Yeah.
you know? But like, what is that like? What's it like in the mind of Ben Potloff at the end of that Sunday night or in the Monday morning?
I was really encouraged. I like I said, I just think the way that our church served each other in the community and the way the gospel was put at the forefront, which again, we were trying to do every Sunday, but I just felt like what we want Easter to look like, we were able to do by God's grace. And so I was actually really encouraged, but exhausted. And every Sunday I'm incredibly exhausted and just, yeah, kind of blah, just need to rest. And so I think what made it maybe even more fatiguing was having the Good Friday, the Saturday egg hunt thing, which I spoke at. It was short, but I presented the gospel, spoke on Friday night. So for me as an introvert, that was like 3 days in a row of being on, which I like because I love what I get to do, but it's just exhausting. Like having to be on, I really kind of crash after that and need some time by myself. So, but yeah, I'm preaching this week again, so there's not really time to just rest. But yeah, but no, I mean, yeah, it's fatiguing, I think, for everybody. How do you feel as like someone, I know you don't do music every week anymore, but you did music on Sunday. And do you feel that level of exhaustion after the weekend or not as much or?
On a Sunday like this Sunday, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you guys did 3 gatherings.
Yeah, 3 gatherings.
That's
It was a lot. And then 3 gatherings, and then I went to like a family dinner thing with like my parents and sibling and his family and stuff like that. So it was like, and again, I'm also an introvert where, you know, I cannot recharge with anybody else. Like, like I recharge pretty much alone. Like I'd say like I can recharge with Katie, my wife, when our kids are not in the picture. So like if we're on vacation together, I can recharge like that perfectly, but just on like a normal day-to-day basis, not a chance. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm like, I mean, you know this, but I'm in a season where I'm trying to like hit some like pretty specific goals health-wise. So I'm like eating a very specific way, like not doing specific things, like, you know, just really dialing in like the physical side of my life. And like the desire to like get a freaking Totino's party pizza and like veg out in front of the TV and like do all the things that I'm not doing in this season of my life, you know, like the drive. I even texted you on the drive home. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do it today, you know? And so that was telling to me, cause I was like, oh, like I didn't realize maybe, like that you hadn't been like, if you're like, what are your vices? I would be like, I don't know if I really have any, but it was like in that moment of exhaustion where it's just like, oh, here's what I want and I want it now. Yeah. And so like, that was eye opening for me. Which I think it's good to have seasons where you're like really focused and intentional, because those are the things that do pop up where you're like, oh, okay. Like, you know,
that would be another good podcast episode, would be like for people in ministry or just in general, like what are some healthy recharge habits, healthy coping mechanisms, because there's plenty of unhealthy ones. And, that desire to, I think maybe it's an introvert thing, but that desire to kind of escape or just turn it off. I don't think it's bad. I think it's part of being human, but I think, the way we go about doing that is, we need to be careful with what we do. But, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, I definitely felt the exhaustion. Like I don't work Mondays, so I didn't work all Monday. And then Tuesday, I actually told Katie on Monday, I was like, I might take tomorrow off too. I don't know. And I know a lot of people just aren't afforded that luxury of just deciding that they're going to do that and then doing it. But I was like, I might take tomorrow off. And then on Tuesday morning, I was like, I'm okay. I worked for like an hour, and I was just like, nah.
That's how I felt this whole week, man.
And so I had ended up having 2 meetings that I was like, okay, those are meetings I need to have to get the week going for people. And then I was like, right after lunch, I was like, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go clean my garage and be alone.
I've plowed through some busy work that's kind of mindless, like got my PEX stuff done and it's like, but as far as like creatively or, Yeah, but I was thinking about you guys because, again, we only did one, which it was exhausting, but I thought about you and Andrew as like 3. I mean, 2 is exhausting mentally. 3, I can't imagine. So, yeah, kudos to you guys. Selfishly, it's not the main reason, but one reason I wanted to do one was just because, it's to double that is exhausting for volunteers, for everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at a point here at our East Vancouver building where we have to do 3 just to fit everyone in the building for that type of a Sunday where everybody who comes to our church is going to come on the same day.
What was the breakdown of like each one attendance wise?
Yeah,
like in general.
Right. So the 9 and the 10:30, which are our normal times, were almost equally packed.
Yeah.
There was like 100 more people at 9 than 10:30.
Okay.
But they were pretty neck and neck. And okay, so like even just like the decision making behind doing a noon gathering is we've always, if we needed a third, we've always done it earlier, right? And back when our gathering times were 9:30 and 11, we would do an 8, and it's like, okay, that's not too early. But now that we're 9 and 10:30, it's like, do we do a 7:30 in the morning? And so we went back and looked at all of our data and realized that we had never had an outlier gathering. So like not our normal 2 times. That was on Easter, that was more than 8% of our Sunday attendance. And so, like, for instance, last Easter we had an 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was 8% of our daily attendance that showed up for that first one. The year before, it was like 6%. And so, like, it's like, okay, we've never hit more than 8. We've never done a later gathering instead of an earlier one. Let's just do that and see what happens. Like, it's more of a data collection than anything. Trying to explore the options. And we had almost exactly 15% of our daily attendance in the noon. And so it was definitely a more viable option. And if half of those people would have shown up at either 9 or 10:30, there was nowhere to put them.
That's what I was going to ask. Could the noon have fit into the first 2?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
There was literally no space in the 9.
Wow.
And then we could have fit maybe, like I said, about 100-ish more people in the 10:30. But it was packed, but we could have squeezed in more if we had to, if that makes sense.
Well, I saw the number. It was like 2,200 in the building, something.
It was 20, just shy of 24, yeah.
Wow.
In the building. So, yeah, one of the biggest days we've ever had here at East Vancouver.
Has there ever been more than 2,000 in the building?
Yeah, last Easter there was 21.
Last Easter,
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's crazy.
But, it was cool. It was great. It was a good day. 35 people got baptized. I don't know.
Awesome.
I'm always a sucker for like the stories of people getting baptized who are kind of like the everyday ordinary stories where it's just like they grew up in church, it became real to them, and they just got baptized. And, that's a lot of the people who got baptized. There were other stories as well. Really cool moment where a dad got baptized by one of our elders, got out of the tank, and then baptized his wife. And then together they baptized their, I think, middle school daughter, maybe high school daughter. But that was really cool, just hearing the story behind that.
I had the 9 o'clock playing the live stream in my office beforehand, and we were about to pray, me and the elders, and Max was like, turn that off, like, because we were like all getting teary-eyed before our gathering. Like, I saw a guy, like an older gentleman that got baptized, and he was just like, the joy on his face, the tears, like, so powerful.
Yeah, his story is, I didn't hear his story till after the baptisms, but man, it was in the third gathering, there was a baptism of a girl, a young adult female who has recently found the faith, and in the midst of her finding the faith, her boyfriend like grew up in church but hadn't been a part of the faith since he was a kid, and like in the midst of her exploring baptism and going through the material that our team has put together and stuff, he realized like, oh, like I need to do that too. Like I have put my faith in Jesus, and cool. It was great. And some people it's they've been waiting a month or 2 to get baptized because we've we do it a few times a year. And then others who was like on Saturday were like, hey, this is for me. And then even one guy who came up during the first gathering to one of our staff members and was like, hey, can I do that? And so he got to go to the side with Nathan for a couple minutes and talk through a few
And
things.
he got baptized?
And he got baptized,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Just kind of like right there. He was, it was really cool. And, but yeah, great weekend.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing people talk about this leading up to Easter and post-Easter. Like there's that talk about, oh yeah, the Easter and Christmas Christians that come or whatever, the Cheester or whatever. Like, I have some thoughts about
The
that.
Creasters.
Creasters.
That's what Max calls them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Not Cheesters. That's weird. Sounds like a snack. Like, what do you think when people talk about those people? I have some thoughts, but like,
I think some about the people who talk about it.
no, just like
Or about the people themselves.
just that reality that still in our culture, Christmas and Easter are more heavily attended by people that normally don't go to church.
Yeah. So I think the world has changed. I don't think there's a ton of people who would say, oh yeah, I go to church. I go to that church, and then only show up on Christmas or Easter.
Yeah.
I think most people would just be like, yeah, I don't really go to church. And then they
Yeah.
come on Christmas or Easter with family or because it's expected and,
Yeah.
like by family members or whatever. I think what's more reality, at least here, is that everybody who does consider themselves a part of our church shows up on the same day.
Right.
And there's tons of data out there as far as like what I don't know the exact numbers, but 2 decades ago, it was somebody considered themselves a regular church attender if they came to 5 out of 6. And now it's 2 out of 5. And so if you have X number of people every week, but people are only coming 2 out of every 5, well, when they all show up at the same time, it's going to be massive, right?
Right.
And so I think that's more at play than the Creaster type people, especially in a church like ours. Now, I both of our churches, I think that churches that like maybe are a little more traditional community churches, where it's like, oh, they're the United Methodist Church that everybody goes to. And I say United Methodist because in my 20s, I was contracted to do some music at a United Methodist Church, and that United Methodist Church had about 250 people on a Sunday and over 2,500 on Easter and Christmas, because it was like they were that suburb's like community church, where it's just like, oh, if I go to church, it's that one, but I don't go to church,
Or that's where their grandparents have always gone.
Yeah, there's a more of a traditional liturgical vibe, or just different. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I maybe had more of that cynical mindset towards those people. But it's really started to bother me when like people kind of say it in a negative way, like, oh yeah, the people that come on Christmas and Easter. Because I don't know, the longer I do this, like I'm really grateful and thankful that people that will never usually darken the doors of our churches at least will come once or twice a year. I see it as a great gospel opportunity. And so, I don't know, it's like, I think we should be more optimistic. Like, yes, we want them to come back. We want them to trust in Christ and to follow him and be a part of the community of our churches. But I don't know, like, isn't it cool that people that really have no interest are there and we actually have an opportunity to preach the gospel to them? And I don't know, I just have kind of gotten a little bit annoyed with that mentality of like, oh yeah, all these people that only come twice a year, like as if that's not amazing, especially in the very secular Pacific Northwest, that some of those people would still come to church. And because the gospel is powerful. Like our neighbor came, and my wife sat next to her, and she said she was crying during the baptisms, getting real emotional. And like, I mean, that's someone we've been praying for a long time and have been inviting, and she came. And so I could be like, oh well, it comes on Easter, never comes besides that. But it's like, no, she was there on Easter and she heard the gospel and saw the transformation in other people's lives. So I don't know. I've just been thinking, I think we should view that more optimistically than pessimistically.
Yeah. And also to add to that, I think you could also view it as opportunistically.
Yeah.
To where it's like people might find more boldness to invite somebody on like a holiday where church is kind of the thing, rather than just like a normal Sunday. Like they might have more boldness might not be the right word, but just they might feel more comfortable saying, "Hey, you want to come to my church on Easter?" than you want to come to my church on June 17th or whatever, you know.
And I think for some reason, people in our culture still are more likely to come on those days.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
and so we should seize that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was a great weekend.
Yep.
All around. And I hope that you get less tired.
Thanks.
Have a good weekend, everybody.